Welcome to Reb's Fusion LFC. Liverpool's future is taking shape right now, and the drama is real. Arne Slot already has a clear action plan as Alexander Isak's injury timeline is revealed, while Liverpool line up a perfect replacement solution. But that's not all. Chelsea have entered the race with a shock Antoine Semenyo bid, putting Manchester United and the Reds on high alert. Plus, Slot speaks out on the Wolves' challenge, and we bring you the latest updates on Conor Bradley and Cody Gakpo. Stay locked in, hit like and subscribe because Reds Fusion LFC brings you the biggest Liverpool news first. Arne Slot already has perfect Alexander Isak replacement as Liverpool action plan clear. Liverpool striker Alexander Isak faces months out with a fractured fibula, but Arne Slot already has Hugo Ekitike ready to lead the line for his side. Liverpool already have a clear-cut replacement for Alexander Isak following confirmation of his injury severity on Monday evening. The Sweden striker, 26, was caught by a robust challenge from Mickey van de Ven whilst netting against Tottenham on Saturday night, forcing his withdrawal after merely 11 minutes on the pitch. Isak instantly grabbed his lower leg and limped off at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The injury appeared severe, with Liverpool confirming that was the case in an official statement. Their medical update stated, Alexander Isak has today successfully underwent surgery on the injury he sustained on Saturday. The Liverpool striker was injured in a challenge in the process of scoring the opening goal against Tottenham Hotspur and had to be substituted. After diagnosis, an operation was completed today on an ankle injury that included a fibula fracture. Isak's rehabilitation will now continue at the AXA Training Center, with no time frame yet placed on his return. After Isak's opening goal, Hugo Ekitike extended the visitors' lead soon after with a brilliantly placed header past Guglielmo Vicario. That marked his 5th strike in 3 Premier League outings as well, making it crystal clear he's equipped to shoulder the responsibility of being Liverpool's front man. Slot appears satisfied with his displays, though he still expects even greater things from the French forward. The Liverpool manager commented, he still needs to get stronger, but he's already become stronger. He can score a goal, he has great footwork, dribbling skills, he has so much in his locker. He's adjusted to the Premier League now. The biggest thing is how he can become physically outstanding. That's what he's working on really hard. In the last 2, 3, 4 minutes, he was very tired at Tottenham. I see this often. But there's hardly any rest for these players. I have to give them a lot of compliments. Every time they fight from first second to the last. With Isak sidelined for the coming months, Slot's closing remarks may raise alarm bells, considering Liverpool face 4 fixtures in just 12 days. That's beginning with their encounter against Wolves. Slot is grappling with multiple fitness concerns after both Florian Wirtz and Conor Bradley left the Spurs match with suspected issues. This adds to the existing unavailability of Cody Gakpo, Wataru Endo, and Joe Gomez. Discussing the injury situation, Slot revealed, Conor will be 50-50. He's not training with us today or tomorrow. Friday we will see exactly where he is if he can be in squad. Joe won't be available, Wata won't be. Cody is a bit similar to Conor. Florian is okay. He just had cramp at Tottenham. In an ideal world, I could have rested him more, but he's okay. Chelsea launched shock Antoine Semenyo transfer bid in race involving Man U and Liverpool. Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool and Tottenham have registered their interest in Bournemouth's Antoine Semenyo for £65 million, and now Chelsea have entered the race. Chelsea have emerged as contenders to sign Antoine Semenyo by launching a late bid to sign the Bournemouth star. Semenyo, 25, is wanted by a cluster of Premier League clubs, including Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool, and Tottenham. The London-born Ghana international is available for £65 million due to a release clause which activates on New Year's Day. The clause will only be active until the second week of January, though, giving Bournemouth ample time to sign a replacement.
A departure next month looks increasingly likely, although Chelsea weren't among the favorites to sign him, until now. Several outlets are reporting that the Blues entered the race on Monday evening after Semenyo and his representatives had spent the day weighing up their options. The Mail report that Semenyo has an affiliation with Chelsea, having been born in West London. The 25-year-old came through the ranks of Bristol City before joining Bournemouth for £10 million 2 years ago. Semenyo's release clause, which is specified as £60 million plus £5 million in add-ons, will be reduced in the summer transfer window, but interested clubs are increasingly wary that by then it could be too late. The forward has scored 8 goals and provided 3 assists in 17 games for Bournemouth this season. The Cherries are reluctant to lose Semenyo, especially having lost 4 key players over the summer, but they're ultimately powerless if a suitor activates his clause. Speaking on Tuesday afternoon, Bournemouth manager Andoni Iraola commented, "Semenyo right now is with us. He trained today with us. I know that there is lots of noise around him, not my concern. My concern is it doesn't affect his performances. It is not doing. He is very committed to the team, and I hope we can keep him here." It's a situation we cannot control, but Antoine right now is our player, going to continue playing for us. If you ask me, I don't want to lose him, definitely don't. But every time the market opens, you never know what is going to happen. Which club should Antoine Semenyo join? Have your say in the comments section. Antoine, for me, has been performing very well. Not just the last 2 games where he has scored, he has consistently been very good since the beginning. Even when not scoring, he is still valuable for us. At the end, we don't just demand numbers. It is no secret he is a massive player for us. Iraola can understand why so many clubs are interested, adding, "Yes, he is performing amazingly well, but lots of wingers from other teams are performing amazingly well. In the league, nearly all teams have a difference maker, especially offensively. I don't know what is going to happen in the winter market."
Arne Slot opens up on Wolves' challenge despite Premier League strugglers having 2 points. Liverpool faces Wolves in the Premier League this weekend, and despite the Molyneux club having picked up just 2 points since the start of the season, Arne Slot expects a tough test. Arne Slot believes Wolves will pose Liverpool a threat when the 2 teams meet in the Premier League after Christmas. Wolves go to Anfield for what, on paper, should be Liverpool's easiest league game of the season, considering the Midlands club's lowly position in the standings. Relegation looks to be a virtual certainty for Rob Edwards' men, who have collected just 2 Premier League points from 17 games, putting them 16 points adrift of safety. Wolves last avoided defeat in any competition on October 5th, but despite that, Slot believes they have shown signs that things could improve during the second half of the season. Their results haven't been what they were hoping for, but they're coming closer and closer to results, Slot said. They were very close to a result at Arsenal. As always, there is a challenge in every Premier League game, and that's the same for this one. Liverpool goes into the game without Alexander Isak, who will be out of action for several months after fracturing his leg, while Joe Gomez, Wataru Endo, and Giovanni Leone are also out with injuries, and Mohamed Salah is at the Africa Cup of Nations. On top of those issues, Dominic Szoboszlai is suspended, while Cody Gakpo and Conor Bradley were described as 50-50 chances to be ready to face Wolves. Despite the selection issues currently facing Slot, he was not interested in discussing the possibility of signing new players in January during a press conference on Tuesday. "My first and only thoughts are on the upcoming games," Slot replied, after being asked about the possibility of signing Antoine Semenyo and recalling Harvey Elliott. 2 difficult ones, against Wolves and Leeds at home. It's a time for the players we have to roll their sleeves up and for the fans to help us to get the results we want. The available players and fans need to give everything they have. Later in the press conference, Slot made it clear that he is not planning to recall Harvey Elliott, cutting off a reporter before he could even finish asking his question about a possible Anfield return for the 22-year-old. "No, Harvey is an Aston Villa player. He's supposed to be going there for the season. Any questions about him, the best place to ask is in Villa.
They are doing really well, by the way.
Liverpool get two-player solution to Alexander Isak woe as Antoine Semenyo agreement reached. The Echo's Liverpool writers assess what the club should do now with £125 million Alexander Isak set to be sidelined for some time. Liverpool are facing up to the prospect of having Alexander Isak sidelined for a considerable amount of time, with the £125 million striker having suffered a broken leg in the 2-1 win over Tottenham Hotspur. The Sweden international pulled up after being caught by a scrambling Mickey van de Ven when he opened the scoring in Saturday's victory in North London and was immediately withdrawn for Jeremy Frimpong just 11 minutes after coming on as a substitute himself. Having invested so much money and time in getting Isak from Newcastle and then getting him up to speed after a lack of a pre-season program, the injury setback comes as a major blow for the Reds in their efforts to climb up the Premier League after a difficult period where they lost 9 in 12 across all competitions between late September and November. So what now at Liverpool? Here, our Echo writers assess the situation and how best to counteract not having a gifted marksman like Isak available for some time. Paul Gorst. Having handed over a king's ransom to sign Florian Wirtz, Hugo Ekitike, and then Isak in the summer months, it doesn't really feel like a Liverpool thing to do to simply spend more money. So often, the idea of forking out tens of millions on new players is viewed by many fans as the antidote to cure all ills. But having forked out £445 million only to essentially regress this season, Arne Slot's Reds are proof that simply buying players for lots of money does not solve problems. The Reds do not operate like a club like Chelsea, and transfers are, in an ideal world, long-term and strategic plans. Having said that, the options are few and far between in the Liverpool squad now, and overburdening Ekitike is a real risk at a time when a below-par Cody Gakpo is sidelined with an injury and an underwhelming Mohamed Salah is with Egypt at the Africa Cup of Nations. Surgery via the transfer market appears the best solution, particularly given there is a decent shout to suggest the Reds were short in wide areas before Isak was injured anyway. With 8 Premier League goals this term, only Erling Haaland and Igor Thiago have outscored Antoine Semenyo, who is level with Ekitike, and the Ghana international added to his tally at the weekend with a well-taken strike against Burnley. Capable of operating on both flanks, Semenyo would be a serious addition of quality at an ideal time for the Reds. Long-term, Slot is clearly looking to move away from an era dominated by Salah, who, at 33, is approaching the twilight of his career. Supporters will have to get used to their front players looking more human in future than Salah, who is only outscored by Roger Hunt and Ian Rush in the all-time scoring charts at Anfield. But Semenyo would be a good option at £65 million to add a new dimension to the front line, particularly while Isak recovers. Mark Jones. Liverpool already needed to add another attacking player to the ranks this January because they had left themselves a little short in the summer, and now the Alexander Isak injury has made that need an even greater one. Antoine Semenyo ticks all the boxes in that he is Premier League proven, able to play across the front line, and crucially, available, and so stumping up the £65 million required to prize him from Bournemouth seems like the right thing to do now. In addition, the recall of Harvey Elliott from his Aston Villa misery would add a bit more cover on the right of the attack, where he could dovetail with Federico Chiesa in the short term, with Mohamed Salah away at the Africa Cup of Nations. When Salah returns, and all talk of a January transfer now obviously has to be ignored, then he could find himself in a strike partnership with Hugo Ekitike, something that has a lot of potential to work and indeed could kickstart Salah's stuttering form. Is it perfect? No, but with Slot showing a willingness to stack his side with midfielders of late, and with Florian Wirtz impressing, it might just be enough to get the Reds through a hectic few months.
Alexander Isak, Liverpool injury timeline confirmed, as Conor Bradley and Cody Gakpo updates given. Arne Slot delivers the Liverpool injury latest on Alexander Isak, Conor Bradley, Cody Gakpo, Joe Gomez,
Wataru Endo, and Florian Wirtz ahead of Saturday's Premier League clash at home to Wolves. Arne Slot is hopeful Alexander Isak will return within a couple of months from the leg fracture that dealt another major blow for the Liverpool striker. But the Reds' boss hasn't ruled out Conor Bradley being available for the weekend, as he grapples with a growing list of absentees. Isak was caught by a heavy challenge from Tottenham defender Mickey van den Ven when opening the scoring in the 2-1 Premier League win at Tottenham Hotspur on Saturday evening. The 26-year-old was in clear distress as he underwent lengthy treatment before being helped off the pitch by Dr. Jonathan Power and Chris Morgan, two members of the club's medical team. A scan took place on Sunday before a subsequent operation was completed on Monday on an ankle injury that included a fibula fracture. And speaking for the first time since Isak's surgery, Slot said, "It's going to be a long injury for a couple of months, so that's a big disappointment for him and of course also for us. I'm confident he can play a part in back end of season." Isak had replaced Bradley at halftime after the Northern Ireland international was injured during a collision with Tottenham defender Jed Spence. And both the right back and forward Cody Gakpo, who has missed the last 3 matches, have a 50-50 chance of being available for the visit of rock-bottom Wolves on Saturday afternoon, although defender Joe Gomez and midfielder Wataru Endo remain sidelined. Conor will be 50-50. He's not training with us today or tomorrow, so Friday we will see where he exactly is and whether he can be in the squad for the weekend, said Slot on Tuesday morning. Joe won't be available, Wataru won't be available. Cody? Bit similar to Conor. Slot added, "It's the time for the players who we do have available to do what they have done so many times and roll their sleeves up, and not only our players but our fans as well, and help us in the best possible way to get the results we want. Therefore, the players who are available need to give everything they have, like the fans, as they usually do. The most injuries we have are not related to overloading. When you look at Alex's injury, it has nothing to do with overloading the player. It's the same with Wataru Endo. Of course, there are 1 or 2 that might have to do with overloading. Cody Gakpo has a muscle, and the same is to be said with Joe Gomez. Florian Wirtz came off with cramp against Tottenham, but will be fit to face Wolves. Liverpool are also without the suspended Dominic Szoboszlai, as well as Mohamed Salah, who is away at the Africa Cup of Nations, and long-term injury victim Giovanni Lo Celso.